AI is quietly turning the content marketing industry on its head. Estimates show that right now, at least 10% of all content is AI generated, but estimates show that by 2026, 90% of content will be AI generated, and that is just 1 year away. Now, if you're feeling a little sick to your stomach about this, know that I was too. But the more I thought about it, I realized that AI-generated content is actually going to be a great thing for the expert and coaching industry. It's going to result in better experts that are making more money and happier clients. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly why we are entering the golden era for the expert and coaching industry now, and how you can get ahead and build an AI machine that generates a ton of content for you without sacrificing your authenticity. My name is Brian Elwood. I am a 3-time author, and I help experts share their message. I've been doing this for the better part of a decade, and I'm not going to lie to you, things have changed. The game has changed right now. Here's the story behind how I realized this. I had just finished a book for one of my clients named Joe. Joe is a 7-figure real estate coach, and he has won something like 10 Two Comma Club awards, including the Two Comma Club X award, which means he's done tens of millions of dollars in the coaching space. And Joe was sitting there across from me, and he was like, Brian, one of the things that's really challenging about being a coach, you want to help your students, like he wants to help them flip more real estate, make more money, but then he also has to spend so much time as an online marketer getting leads and learning how to make YouTube videos and write headlines and become a copywriter and succeed on Instagram. Basically, you end up getting pulled in 2 different directions. There's a thing you're actually supposed to be the expert in. You got clients waiting on you to help them. You have an offer that you need to make better. And then over here, you have this whole online marketing thing, funnels and ads and organic content. How do I get more leads and close more people? It's so different. It's really 2 different businesses. And it's very challenging for the expert to run both of them at a very high level. That exact same thing happened to me. I started out as a real estate investing coach. My backstory is flipping hundreds of houses. I bought 35 rental properties. And then I got in the coaching space and I started helping other people buy their first rental property. And I started reading all of Russell Brunson's books. I actually have all of them sitting on my desk to this day. Fantastic books, right? But if you are new to the game, this is so overwhelming and it's so much stuff that you got to do this expert industry correctly. Like if you read this book, you better block off a few months at least to read and absorb and act on what is in this book. Then you get away from the thing you're actually supposed to be an expert in. And I did this so much that over years, I learned more about online marketing and writing and offer creation and books and all these things than I even did with the offer that I was selling, which was real estate investing. And that's when I had to pivot. I was like, I'm so obsessed with this stuff, I might as well make this my offer because this is what I'm actually more credible to teach at this point. And I genuinely developed a passion for online marketing, but not every coach or consultant or expert is like that. You might be passionate about helping people lose weight or helping people write powerful resumes or helping people learn how to make clay pottery or helping people recover after a divorce, right? And so you have that thing that you need to become an absolute master in, but then you have to also master lead gen and online marketing in order to get clients for your thing. And the more you focus on marketing and lead gen, the more you get away from the reason you showed up in the first place. But all of that has changed. We are entering a new era where experts can get back to being experts in the thing they're actually supposed to be an expert in. And here's what I did for my client, Joe, the one I said was frustrated about being pulled in the 2 different directions. I trained an AI clone to be Joe. I fed the clone his book that we wrote together. I fed it a bunch of his YouTube videos and his podcasts, his online courses. They even have software now that will automatically crawl your YouTube channel and your podcast and learn everything you've ever said and memorize it. It's insane. Then what I did is I figured out what the best practices were on the different platforms that Joe wants to create content. Like he wants to publish YouTube videos. You need a idea and a script and a thumbnail. He wants to write Twitter threads, right? There's a process for that. He wants to write really powerful emails to his list. So once I had Joe's AI clone that learned all of his stories and all of his teachings on how to invest in real estate, I trained it on the best practices for each platform. I trained it how to tell stories like Russell Brunson, how to script YouTube videos like Ali Abdaal, how to write a Twitter thread like Matt Gray, how to write powerful emails like Frank Kern, how to write headlines like Dan Kennedy. This is where the magic happens. You go out and you figure out who's the best at Instagram Reel script writing, who's the best at writing posts for LinkedIn. You create prompts that you train AI on. It can pump out content that fits whatever the best practice is for each platform at that time. Then I wrote Joe a batch of sample content. I said, check this out. I took a chapter from your book. I turned it into an email newsletter, a YouTube script, 2 Instagram Reel scripts, a Twitter thread, a carousel post, and 10 tweets. And when he saw it, he said, this is so awesome. Can you please do this for me? We had a short call, and he ended up hiring me right on the spot to come into his business temporarily and build out an entire content system based around this concept. So think about it. What's better for someone like Joe? Is it really best for him to become an expert on every social media platform, an expert headline writer, copywriter, YouTube script writer? Or is it best for Joe just to get back to coaching and then lean on AI to help him do a great job of putting out a ton of content and not have to spend so much of his time and energy on being this online marketer so that he can do the thing he showed up to do in the first place, which is help his students get results. Now, at this point, you might be thinking that this sounds good, but the idea of creating AI-generated content just makes you cringe. You don't think it's going to be able to connect with your audience on a personal level, or maybe you're worried that if you can just print out a bunch of content with AI, won't it just become saturated? Then everyone will be doing it, and then all of a sudden it won't work anymore. And that's exactly what I used to say. I was like, this is not going to work, because as soon as everything works, nothing works. As soon as you can just push a button and get 100 posts and post them all, anyone can do that. And then there's going to be a higher standard for content. But the more I thought about it, I was really thinking about what is the component that makes up good content. Especially with AI, it is not how-to content. It is real stories. Like, you have to go out and do something real, and then you come back and tell people what you did. You tell them what worked, what didn't work, the emotions you went through, your aspirations. It's the same reason why we love to watch fictional stories, because we see ourselves in the characters in those stories. When you create content, it's about telling good stories. If you just create content that's like the 5 steps to flip a house, that's nothing more than a glorified version of what a search engine can produce. If all you do is put out content that is devoid of real human experience and stories, yeah, your content is going to be replaced by AI. And that's the type of content that is becoming extremely commoditized. I don't even Google things anymore. I just talk to Claude or ChatGPT all day long, and they are way more helpful than reading someone's blog post or even watching a YouTube video. If the video is just a bunch of regurgitated, generalized business advice, and there's no story or real credentials or human experience behind the content, then I'm not interested. So what I realized is that the argument is not AI-generated content versus human content. It's actually real, story-driven content that comes from real experience versus just theories and opinions and generic how-to information. Is your content personal, or is it generic? And when you use AI to help you create content, that actually frees you up to go out and do more real stuff, to have more real experiences, to spend more time with your clients, getting them results so that you can then come back and tell the story of what happened. And if you need to interview that client and then feed the interview into AI so it can produce a LinkedIn version and a carousel version and a reel version and a YouTube script and an email, so what? Like, that's actually going to just amplify your message. And it's going to be able to do so with best practices for email, with best practices for YouTube. But you can train it to still stay true to your voice and to tell it in a certain way. At the end of the day, the real heart of the content, the story itself, the humans that had the real experiences is there, even though AI will fragment it out into a bunch of different formats. Like, think about the early days of YouTube when people would just vlog. It'd just be like, I used to be into skateboarding, and these guys would just bring their little camera and their skate crew and just have these really raw videos of skating and put some music to the back and like put it on YouTube. And that type of content did well. It was just raw, authentic, real stories, real life, like behind the scenes looks. I think AI is going to allow us to get back to doing more of that because it's going to do the heavy lifting of taking that piece of content and then dressing it up so that it is presented in a way that will perform better on each platform. But you don't have to be the one that spends 90% of your time on that side, that post-production side. Okay, so if you're with me so far, let's talk about how to actually create this workflow. This is what I personally am doing for my own business and that of my clients. First of all, we talked about training AI on your book, your YouTube, podcast, etc. The best software that I've found for that so far is Delphi, Delphi.AI. I'm going to put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Yes, it will be an affiliate link, so I will get a commission if you use it. Either way, I think that is the best software because depending on which package you choose, like if you already have hundreds of YouTube videos, it can crawl your entire channel within a matter of hours and learn everything you've ever said. And then you'll be able to pull from that when you create content. So the first step, if you have the budget for it, use a software like Delphi. Let that be the hub, the central learning hub that you train. So it remembers every story, everything you've ever said. This is sick, honestly, guys. I'm thinking of all these use cases in real time. You could literally just record voice memos on your phone of your stories and then just feed them right into Delphi. And it can keep a log of every story that you ever want to tell to your audience. And then you can just have it spit out those stories in various formats as you build the bank. And you're literally just, I picture myself doing something real, like going to meet a client for coffee and like helping them through something and then just sharing the story in my phone on the way back, shooting that to AI and letting it just create 10 pieces of content that tell the story in a really polished way. I'm a little bit getting ahead of myself. The point being is I used to think that you should have a content library where you store every piece you ever posted so that you could repost it one day. Now I think it's better just to have a trained AI clone of yourself. That's what Delphi does, that you can keep feeding new information and you can pull a fresh piece of content from it instead of being like, I'm going to repost this blog post that I posted 2 years ago and sort of update it for today. It's actually better because you're probably into personal growth. You're growing rapidly. Your opinions about things are changing. I think it's actually better to just keep getting fresh content now that we have like AI clone model of ourselves that we can train. You train it on everything that you already have, all the assets that you've already created. Your online courses, you get them transcribed, your books, and all of the content that you've put out there. But we're not done because if that's all you did, it would not learn anything beyond today, right? It would become stale. And then you would only be pulling from your experience up until this point for your content. But like we said, you got to do new stuff. You have to have new human creative ideas, right? And so what I do, in addition to having a trained AI model of myself, I still produce one piece of content per week that is not AI generated. And this would be a long form piece of content. Like this video, for example, is not AI generated. This is actually, I wrote 4 or 5 blog posts that were also not AI generated. I ended up just kind of condensing them into one video, which is this. I believe that it's very important for the growth of your personal brand to stand out, just to enjoy what you do because you're being a creator. It's very important that you actually create, right? We're not just here to print a bunch of AI content. We're here to create, and then we create something new that's epic every week, and we post that. And then we also feed that into the AI clone so it learns it. So we're always feeding it new data, and then it's adding that to the existing data set. For me, I like YouTube. So my way of doing it is write one long form blog post that becomes a script for a YouTube video. And then that's my non-AI generated pillar piece of content every week that goes out. That goes out like it normally would. Send it as an email. Might use AI to write the email for it, and gets posted on YouTube. I rip the audio, put it on my podcast. From there, I let AI create all the other content downstream of that. So, hey, write a LinkedIn version that advertises this YouTube video, one for Facebook. Write me a few reel scripts from this blog post. Write me a Twitter thread and a bunch of tweets or whatever. Then you still get to have that cool, unique idea that you're really excited to talk about and share. A lot of my clients, including me, love to write. So if you love to write, you still get to sit down and express yourself and, unpack what's in your brain and put it out there. That's a very satisfying process. I would never suggest that we are taking that away because of AI. We're going to continue to do that. And then we're going to use AI to repurpose it so that you can be consistent across the different social media platforms, so that you can be writing in such a way that resonates. Like, you don't have to learn how to write punchy, powerful tweets anymore. That always annoyed me, right? It's like, I don't want to learn that. I just want to express myself through writing in long form. I don't want to become a tweeter and a thread writer and a Instagram reel bro and all that. That is my content workflow that I'm doing now, and I'm helping my clients set up. Particularly when we write a book together, we'll train their AI clone on their book and use that to create a ton of content. Books are one of the best ways to train your AI clone because it really presents your entire framework in a very organized way, and it leaves nothing out, right? It's just like super high value. You start turning those chapters into blog posts and newsletters and carousel posts and LinkedIn posts. People are like, whoa, you really put a lot of time into this post. Really what you did is you put a lot of time into a book, and then you let the book do the heavy lifting of creating really high quality content after that. I want to touch on one last thing before we hop off here, because some people are like, I don't even have a social media audience, so posting content isn't really going to work for me anyways to get more customers, get more clients, whatever. Let's address this because this is a big thing. So the first thing, you're right. You post on Facebook like I used to do. No one cares in the beginning. My mom was the only person that liked my posts for quite a while when I got in this game. At that time, I had just published my first book, Fire Yourself, and I was trying to use it to get clients, but it wasn't working, right? I just didn't have an audience, so it didn't really matter that I had a book. I didn't have anyone to show it to, and that was a big problem. And so what I did is I thought about who already speaks to my ideal client. And at that time, I was a real estate investing coach. My ideal client was people who wanted to invest, and the people who already had that audience were the podcasters, the big real estate investing gurus that had big podcasts. And so what I did is I reached out to a bunch of them to get on their shows. A lot of them ignored me. Some of the shows didn't make any impact on my business. And then a couple of them really promoted my book. And that led to me creating a 6-figure income stream because I got a handful of new clients and I was charging $3,000 per month to help them grow their house flipping business. What I had to do there with no audience was strategic outreach, right? I had to reach out to the people that already talked to the audience I wanted to connect with. This is a thing that Russell Brunson teaches in his book, Traffic Secrets, called the Dream 100. Another form of this is instead of reaching out to other influencers or, coaches, you reach out to the people that you want to work with directly. But you will need to do some strategic outreach in order to get customers and clients early on. The way to think about it, I stole this from Hormozi, is that posting content is like putting money into an investment account. It grows very slowly and compounds over time, but it doesn't do much in the beginning. Whereas direct outreach is like earning a commission check. It's not scalable, it doesn't compound, but it's a way to keep the lights on if you need to do it. And I've always had to balance posting content with doing certain strategic outreach as I've grown my expert business. Here's why I'm telling you all this. AI can help you with outreach as well. Like we already talked about how it can definitely help with content, but imagine you identify 100 podcasts you want to be on. You can literally just take like a description of the podcast and put it in AI and have it write you an email to send to that host asking to be on the show. Or you can identify 100 people you'd love to have as a client, have AI draft messages that you can send them or emails to send out to them where you propose that you two have a conversation to work together. Maybe you offer them a free copy of your book. So again, we're sticking with the same theme here where we want to focus on being great at what we do and getting real results for people and use AI to help us market ourselves, to help gain awareness about us. Remember what I said in the beginning of this video about AI helping to create better experts? That's what this is going to allow us to do, which will then allow the experts to make more money because we are helping clients get better results. So here's what all this means for you. You can get back to being a real expert finally. You can lean on AI to do a lot of the marketing and the outreach for you. And if you post content, you can build a real following while staying focused on what matters. The future belongs to the experts who embrace the tools that will amplify their impact. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. And before you go, if you post all the content in the world, it won't make a difference in your expert business without a damn good offer to sell. I created a hour and change long offer creation masterclass on how to create irresistible offers like Alex Hormozi. Check that out here, and thank you for watching.